Hi, everyone. Good morning. Hello. It is early in the morning. I'm Jeff Gerstmann, and we are here to see what's going on with Nintendo. What the heck is happening with these guys? You know, am I right? Like, God, get it together. Um, we're going to hear about the Switch 2 for about an hour, and that'll be. I think it'll be a very focused hour because Nintendo's not going to waste a bunch of your time on specs. They can put out a spec sheet later and tell you about the power on it and all of that sort of stuff in a different way. And those are conversations for different companies to have. You know, it's just not really their way. So they'll focus on what the heck does this button do, and look at this thing, it's a mouse, and and whatever else is going on. There is more going on with it. I think everyone at this point knows that. But what is it? How integral to the operation of the system is it? And then, what's up with the games? What's up with the games? I don't know. Like I was saying yesterday, I think it makes sense to have kind of a smattering of third-party games in this, because I assume that Nintendo themselves will focus largely on games that will be available at launch, which everyone is expecting to be in June. So that leaves plenty of room for them to come June to put out more information about the next batch of games or whatever, I don't know. Or maybe they announce a ton of games here and say, these are the games that are available for launch and these are games you'll be playing later this year. And, I think there's a bunch of different ways they could go with it. And I think they're all valid. Personally, I would be interested in seeing some third-party stuff. I think that's where I come out on it, is because I'm curious to see what the third-party support looks like and all of that. So I figured that even if this video doesn't necessarily focus a ton on what third parties are doing, I would assume that this also then opens the floodgates on games getting announced by third parties and more of that stuff being able to be talked about more openly than it has been up to this point. And so I don't know. We'll see here in a few minutes, and we're in about 4 minutes. When they get going. So Bystron says, feels like third party stuff will come with the big ass install base of the console. They're not going to get Wii U'd again. Well, and like I was saying yesterday, remember that the Wii U launched with a bunch of third-party games that looked like traditional console games. After a generation of the Wii, they launched the Wii U with like an old Mass Effect game and Batman and whatever. Like there was a stack. I remember sitting there with a stack of third-party games and looking at it and just going like, none of these are. As someone who has been playing games and played most of these games already, gee, who cares about any of these? Like who's been standing around waiting for like, oh, when Nintendo finally puts this out, then I'll play Batman, or Zombie U was kind of like the one of the standout third-party games. Yeah, Call of Duty. Was it Ghosts? Was Ghosts the Wii U launch Call of Duty? Yeah, right? So, they've told a strong third-party story at launch before. Well, I don't even, that doesn't even necessarily tell a strong story, but, the story was those games came out. It didn't really seem like people really cared about them or really much of anything. And third parties just kind of drifted away from the platform. And that obviously doesn't help. Nintendo consoles are it's never make and break by the third party support to begin with, but it's certainly not great to have third parties basically. Like I remember the stories at the time being like, oh yeah, I remember talking to someone at EA, and they were like, "Yeah, we sent back our dev kits. We sent back most of our Wii U dev kits, because like most of the studios realized they were never going to work on a Wii U game, so they're just like, yeah, we're good." I don't expect that to be the case here. Like I said, for a variety of reasons, I think the industry's in a very different place right now, and the major players are hunting for more users always. Like, it's not entirely unlike the way the mobile game used to be. It's like, hey, where's where are our next million users coming from? Where are we going to find these people? We need to get more people playing our games. And with everyone on that quest, everyone has come to the realization that no one platform is ever going to be large enough to truly satisfy that requirement. Is that they're always going to want to have a bigger game. And so it's become worth it for obviously even Microsoft to just be like, all right, we're done with this. We're done with this way of thinking. It ain't working for us anymore, so our games are going to be everywhere. Sony clearly tiptoeing in that direction as well. My alarmo is going off. No. We're just about ready. We're just about ready. See what's up with this thing. When I wake up early, I have the sniffles. It's just how it goes. But I'm excited about this. I think the game industry needs some excitement, and this seems like something that will provide. I think my question is still, will they do the 2-finger for Switch 2? Start over analyzing everything and looking at this and going like, is this a clue, kids? Okay. I want to know more details on this thing. People started to speculate all kinds of wild stuff about what the new Mario Kart was going to be like, so.
Let's go!
That is more racers than they typically have on a track. Pauline, cool. I think the other thing to try to... Oh, okay. All right. I think you start to wonder, like, well, what would be the things that would make this different from something they could do on the previous console, and all right, suits maybe. Are we talking suits, mid-race switches or something? It's a lot of very wide lanes across this whole thing in ways that I don't know. Okay. World.
Hello everyone, I'm Koichi Kawamoto, and I'll be one of your guides for today's Nintendo Direct. I'm the producer for Nintendo Switch 2.
I'm Takuhiro Dota, the director for Nintendo Switch 2.
Did someone say Dota?
And I'm Tetsuya Sasaki, the hardware design lead for Nintendo Switch 2.
What you just saw was Mario Kart World, launching exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2. Now, what do you think this brand new Mario Kart game will be like?
Okay.
A brand new entry in the Mario Kart series is launching exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Welcome to this vast world. Kart races are held throughout various regions that span the globe. Depending on the time of day and weather conditions, the atmosphere will change.
So an open world, is this their Burnout Paradise? Like what?
And in this Mario Kart game, you can go off the racetrack and drive virtually everywhere in this world.
All right.
In the classic Grand Prix, race through 4 courses in a bid for first place. But don't sleep at the wheel. You'll also drive to the next course as part of the competition.
So like
With
that Need for Speed
24
game where you
drivers
drive
of
to
each
the next race and then
most
do the
in series
race.
History, the competition is gearing up.
Huh.
Introducing Knockout Tour. Race non-stop from one corner of the world to another. There are multiple checkpoints along the way. If you're below the placement shown when you hit a checkpoint, you'll be eliminated.
Much like the hit game Need
You
for
make it all
Speed
the way
Most
to the
Wanted.
finish line, you can also freely drive around this vast world in free roam.
This is wild. I mean, you know, like not necessarily like breaking a ton of new ground for
So
racing
drive
games in
wherever
general,
your
but
heart
like
takes you.
because everything's open world now.
You can also
But
go for scenic drives with
this
friends.
seems
And even take photos together at different locations. A brand new race across the entire world starts here. Mario Kart World!
yes, as someone who's never
Game
been
launches on the
available on the same
as
day,
Nintendo
it's
Switch
a
2.
very
More details about this title will be shared in an upcoming Mario Kart World Direct. So be on the lookout for more information in the future.
I'm into that, but you know, like I'm someone who's never really been a big
Mario
Mario
World
Kart
launches on the same day
guy.
as Nintendo Switch 2. We'll share more details in the future, so we hope you're looking forward to it.
So like that appeals to me. But if you
Next,
really like
we'd
Mario
like to
Kart, I wonder
introduce
if you're
some
like,
of the
oh
new
no.
features of Nintendo Switch 2. These are the Joy-Con 2 controllers for Switch 2. And on the right Joy-Con 2, we've added a new C button. Let's take a look at some new experiences it offers.
Okay. Let's see it. Let's see. Alone.
I'm still ahead of all of you guys. That was me. That was you? So quick. Oh, no. Wait, no.
They made it look like a Discord call.
Nix, I'm coming for you.
No, I'm about to get
Come on, no.
Oh.
Introducing Game Chat, a new feature for Nintendo Switch 2.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, missed you.
Okay.
With this feature, you'll be able to communicate with friends and family while playing a game.
Should we follow you? Yeah?
Yeah, follow
Okay.
me. For an adventure.
While using the Game Chat feature, your voice is recognized by a microphone built into the system.
Oh, okay. But you're still behind me, right? All right, let's keep going. Okay. So,
It can pick up your speaking voice clearly, even from a distance.
look at this. Jump on here. All right, let's keep going. Let's make a left right here. Let's make a.
When it's noisy around you, your voice will still come through clearly, letting you chat with ease.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know,
Okay, nice.
It does look beautiful. It's so pink.
And you can use this feature in handheld mode too, letting you easily chat with friends and family. If you open the chat menu and turn on game screen sharing,
Good job, good job. There we go, there we go.
you can also share your game screen.
No,
Did you see someone just like go on top of that dinosaur?
Really?
I'm good.
You can do it. You guys are just dead.
I don't. That's okay, sure.
Oh,
But
shoot. Oh.
even in your demo, the frame rate, like,
Okay, I got it.
that's not. I don't want to do.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Like, obviously, it's not going to send full frame rate to everyone else. It's a.
You can
Handheld,
chat to
you know.
your heart's content, even while
What the
playing different
heck?
games.
Yeah, I know that one. It's so hard, right? It's tough.
Oh wow, I'm like in the sky right here. I'm like, I fell, I'm falling. Oh,
It's a very normal thing for a dude to say. Oh wow, I'm in the sky right here.
So cute.
You can adjust the size of your game screen.
Guys, I'm lost. Like,
This is quaint.
Or
I don't know.
expand
This is
another
a thing that
friend's game
Nintendo would make, right?
You gotta get above
This is
that
Nintendo
wall.
that's going like, oh hey, what's going on with
Like if she gets past the wall.
with this stuff? I'm trying to refresh this real quick because there's a bit of audio delay. It's not.
So everyone.
If I refresh this video and it doesn't change, then I don't know
think I know
what
where you
the.
are. Wait.
I don't really know that there's much more I can do.
We have
But let's see if this fixes it.
ooh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Let's take a picture here.
Okay, are you ready?
Smile.
Yeah, I think their stream is just.
Oh, yo, that's sick.
I like your pose, Mix.
On the right Joy-Con 2 controller, there's an additional button. With the seat button, you can pull up a chat menu.
Oh, dang.
Okay.
Really cool. Wait, actually, guys, I got a call coming right now, so I'll be right back. Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Here, you can quickly and easily mute yourself and more. And there's this.
And there's this.
By connecting this camera to the system,
Hey.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
Okay.
Hey.
Hi. How's everyone doing?
Are they putting Uno out on
you can
the
appear
Switch
on
too?
screen and video chat while playing a game.
Your face is on here.
Wait, Nick, how was your test yesterday?
It was good.
I mean, it just doesn't look good. I mean, you know, that's
Just
the you know. Hey, look at this kind of low.
I bet you like
Can you
that.
wait for me?
And who's gonna do that?
Please
Look at that
look
one
forward to
shot of the
games
lady
which
with
use your
like her
camera
just
feed
holding
like
her
this.
Switch 2. And like, oh, you're gonna hook up the camera and set up a shot just so you can voice. Like, no one's gonna do. It's just.
Let me
If I
fix
go a
it.
little more this way.
This is just a very like again
Using
like you know
game chat.
Nintendo coming up with
Even when
weird
you're-
online
You
solutions
can play games and
that
hang
feel
out
a
as if you were
generation or two
together
out
in
of
the
step.
same room. Play together
and-
or compete in online multiplayer games.
Wait, I can play video game? Okay.
Chat while playing your
You know.
personal favorites. Decide your own rules for a retro game competition. Or hold a sports competition.
Make your
between
own
families.
fun, so we don't have to build anything. You know,
All
you can just
together,
play Super Mario World at the same
anytime,
time, but you don't have
anywhere.
to wait on us to make any
Game chat.
rules for it. Sure.
What did you think?
I think it
In
looks
developing Game Chat,
like
our
something
goal was
that
for you to enjoy
everyone else
playing
came up
online
with
with
and
others
discarded
more
large
closely,
parts of
including
20 years
family
ago,
and friends.
15 years
Almost
ago.
as if you're all playing together in the same place. The camera you saw in the trailer is the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, which will be available on the same day as Switch 2. A Nintendo Switch Online membership will be required to use Game Chat.
Yeah.
However, since we'd like as many people
Can I hook
as
my
possible
Wii Speak
to
up to this?
experience Game Chat, it will be available without a membership for a limited time. We hope you'll try it out. Additionally, Game Chat supports the Nintendo Switch Parental Controls app, and different settings.
Their
can be
stream just
adjusted.
hitched, which
For
I assume
example,
fixed the
whether
audio.
parental permission is always required when a child wants to use Game Chat to play with their friends.
We'd like to introduce another new experience you can share with family and friends. On Nintendo Switch, even if you just have one game, you can pass a Joy-Con controller to a friend and play together. But on Nintendo Switch 2, you can play together locally on multiple systems using just one game. with GameShare. As shown here, even games that require multiple screens
Like
can be played
Uno.
if one person
There
owns
they
a
are
compatible
showing
game.
Uno.
With GameShare, you can temporarily share compatible games with others who also have Nintendo Switch 2 or a Nintendo Switch system.
They're setting the
You can
stage.
share a game with up to 3 other systems at a time.
Check out our camera. Check out Uno.
GameShare also supports online play with other Switch 2 systems, and you can use it with friends via Game Chat, which we showed earlier. GameShare can only be used with compatible games. This feature is planned for several titles, starting with a free update for Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics on Nintendo Switch. GameShare support is also planned for select games exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, so we hope you'll look forward to it.
It's very,
next.
it's because of the order they're announcing things in, but
We'd like to show you the Nintendo Switch 2 system itself.
Please take a look.
that's what they
At
say about me.
7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares to Nintendo Switch. The system's thickness remains the same. With approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
All right. Yep. Oh, okay.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second.
That's cool.
Allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles. The LCD screen is more vivid and supports
Yeah.
HDR, providing
Not an
more
OLED, but
contrast between
I think
light
everyone
and
knew
dark
that
areas
was
of the
at this
images.
point. That's what they were going with.
The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically. Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system. Detach your controller easily by pressing the release button on the back.
It's like,
The
wait, which
SL
buttons are the SL and SR buttons?
are
Oh,
bigger
right,
for
it's
greater
the.
comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontally.
I think I never want to hold a Joy-Con horizontally ever again. I've lived
Left
my
and right
entire life in
sticks are now
service
locked.
of this goal.
Each Joy-Con 2
Okay,
controller
so both
can
of them
be
have it.
used as a mouse to play with compatible games.
And they're just
Both
calling
the
it a
left
mouse.
And right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls. By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes. It has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via Game Chat. It also uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
It is, yes. It's 2017 all over
Even
again or
if you don't
something,
have a
right?
surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Who do I have to send pictures of my ears to for this one?
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large,
Put it
sturdy
wherever
stand.
you want, baby.
You can move it freely, like this. In addition to the USB-C port found on the bottom of the system, there's one on top as well. It's handy for
Yeah,
connecting
okay.
a USB-C camera or charging in tabletop mode.
Yeah, good.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal storage, 8
Yes.
times that of
you know,
Nintendo Switch, for storing your game downloads,
256 is not.
save data, and more. Reading and writing data is also faster.
Sure. That's,
Use the Nintendo
they're not going to have
Switch
4K
2 dock
assets on it.
to
It's not
connect
going
to your TV
to. The
and
game
enable
sizes
up
on
to
other platforms
4K
are maybe not
resolution
comparable,
for
but
compatible games. HDR is also supported in TV mode.
so they're showing 4K.
The Nintendo Switch
But-
2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system cool. This helps keep performance stable. On Nintendo Switch 2, you can play Nintendo Switch 2 games, as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
And we made another one of these things, and we did this, and we did this. You know, compatible, like it's they have to kind of say that because there's probably going to be cases where, like, oh, the Joy-Cons don't fit into the leg adapter for Switch Sports or Ring Fit, or, you know, obviously there's going to be some cases where
and to help players better
it's just not compatible for reasons
hardware,
like that.
We're
It's
currently
not.
developing this game. Mr. Kawamoto!
Hello. My current location is actually inside the game itself.
Oh, Jesus.
This is Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, so this sounds like something that is a pack-in that shows you how to use the mouse and other stuff, right?
Okay, everyone, join me inside the game. There are a lot of question mark icons here. Let's examine them. This sign reads,
Where are the magnets?
The Joy-Con 2 controllers attach to the system with magnets. And those magnets are inside the system. The
Colonel,
SL and
I'm
SR
looking for the
buttons on
magnets.
Joy-Con 2 are made of metal. So that's how they attach to the system. A magnetic circuit is formed between them so they won't easily detach.
Okay.
Through examining signs like these, you can discover all sorts of secrets about Nintendo Switch 2.
That's cool.
Another example, the Joy-Con 2 controllers have mouse controls. And when combined with the gyroscopes, you can even do something like this. You can adjust the position of the golf club and aim for the cup by rotating the Joy-Con 2.
So is this golf
By
part of the
combining
welcome
mouse
tour then,
controls
or
and
is this?
gyroscopes, things like this are possible.
Yeah.
There are secrets to discover even as you're playing mini-games and tech demos. Some of the secrets
is
range
smart.
from the unique features of the system to tiny details you might not notice until they're pointed out. There are plenty. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour will launch as a paid digital game on the same day as Nintendo Switch 2. So
Is that
please check
paid?
it out if
What?
you're interested.
What?
Now,
What?
I'd like to
Why
share
would you
some
not
more
pack that
information
in?
regarding Nintendo Switch 2.
Come on. All
This
right.
is the game card for Nintendo Switch 2 titles.
Delicious.
It's the same shape as Nintendo Switch game cards, but it's now red and it has much faster data reading speeds. Next up is additional storage. Switch 2 will only work with micro SD express cards. They're a different type of SD card and will make high-speed data transfers possible. Please note that regular micro SD cards used for Nintendo Switch will not be compatible. Additionally, to transfer data from Switch to Switch 2, you can log into your Nintendo account to use the System Transfer feature. With this feature, you can transfer save data, digital games, and more. We're also releasing a new Pro Controller. It has a C button, which launches Game Chat, and on the back, there are new GL and GR buttons,
wow.
which you
Official-
can use to assign existing button controls.
Official back paddles on a controller. That's kind of
In
wild.
addition, an audio jack has been added. We've introduced a few new features, and after today's presentation, the official Nintendo Switch 2 website
But they're not,
will go live.
the system
There will
doesn't see them
also
as
be
separate
an Ask
buttons.
the
It's just
Developer
like
article on
you
the
can assign
website,
them.
where the three of us will talk about the development of Nintendo Switch 2. We hope you'll check that out as well.
And now, the Nintendo Switch 2 launch date. Nintendo Switch 2 launches on June 5th. We're very much looking forward to the day when you all get to experience it, so please wait just a bit
Yep.
longer.
Makes sense.
Now, broadly speaking, on Nintendo Switch 2, you can play 3 types of
Nintendo
games.
Switch 3?
The first type is Nintendo Switch 2 games. These games take advantage of the performance and
It also
features
has a
of
cartridge
Switch 2.
port that takes Virtual Boy games. I don't know. We
The
just
second
thought it would be a
type
cool
is
idea.
compatible games that were released on Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch 2 edition games are the third type. Some games that were released on Switch will receive upgraded versions that offer things like improved visuals, unique ways to play on Switch 2, and more. Now, I'd like to show you the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Party Jamboree.
I'm okay. You don't. No, we're
Please
thinking.
take a
No,
look.
no. I'm good. I'm good on it. You can.
Super Mario Party Jamboree is getting an upgrade on Nintendo Switch 2. The upgrade expands on the base game and adds new features, including mouse controls, audio recognition, more expressive rumble, and gameplay that uses a camera accessory.
Huh.
All of which can be accessed on Switch 2.
Weird.
Let's check out 3
It's like-
new and updated modes. First up is
can't-
Mario Party mode. With a single camera,
There's something very old. You know, like
you'll
it
be able
is.
to see each other's faces as you play, so you can experience all the reactions
It's quaint.
and emotions
It's quaint
in
that they're
real
doing
time.
this. It feels like the rest of video games did all their camera experiments, realized that most people don't want to do this, and have moved on. And so it's weird for them to just be like, and your face is going to be in the game. Like people
Bowser will bring
are.
you on stage 2. Hit blocks to collect the most coins.
Did you?
Guide an RC car with your voice. Go.
We went through the Kinect era, and everyone realized, like, okay, I don't think we necessarily want to do that either. And
Finally, take a ride on the
so it's just, it's interesting. Like, I don't necessarily think that these are bad ideas, but I do think that they're ideas that I think a lot of players have
Use mouse controls to shoot down enemies
moved on
while you
from.
feel the bumps
That a
and
lot of players
rumbles
have been
of
like,
the
I don't.
coaster.
Okay, we tried this. We don't want to do this. We don't feel comfortable doing this. You know, whatever the reasoning is.
A mini game will begin.
Like this stuff is.
There's a bouldering game where 2 players each control an arm, and one where you shake a can of spray paint and quickly tag objects. Enjoy the thrill of these intuitive mini games. How quickly can you reach the station? From mini games that use a camera, the built-in microphone,
The camera stuff. It's
mouse
just yeah.
controls, and rumble. The biggest party yet is getting even bigger. Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Like it's not like it's not even
Nintendo Switch
Kinect era
edition
stuff. Yeah,
plus
it's more like
Jamboree
iToy
TV
era stuff.
launches on Nintendo Switch 2, July 24th. Nintendo Switch 2 players who already own
So they are
Super
selling
Mario
me.
Party Jamboree
Okay.
can upgrade
I mean, it
to
makes sense. It's
Nintendo
content.
Switch 2
You know,
edition
like it's not
plus
just hey, it
Jamboree
runs
TV
better.
by purchasing an upgrade pack.
Please look forward to a new Mario Party experience, where you can see each other's reactions while playing. Let's continue presenting some more Nintendo Switch 2 edition games. Nintendo Switch 2 editions of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom feature enhanced resolution and frame rates, and also support HDR, which makes the image more vibrant.
Good.
So you can play with smoother, higher definition graphics. Plus,
Zelda notes.
you can get even more out of your adventures in
Zelda
Hyrule
is
using
the
Zelda
lady.
Notes.
Link is the guy. Okay, I got
This
my
new
Zelda
feature
notes.
can be accessed via the Nintendo Switch app on smart devices. It's a game-specific service that's exclusive to the Switch 2 editions of these titles.
Sticking with this, huh?
For example, it can help guide you to various locations, like shrines
Sticking
and
with
Korok
this
you haven't found yet.
App thing.
Guidance
Like,
activating. Proceed north.
at the Moblin, turn right.
Or you can share your creations using QR codes and send them to another player to create in their game.
Okay, yeah, all right.
We hope these features will make your adventures even more enjoyable. In Kirby and the Forgotten Land,
They didn't say
you'll
anything
be
about
able to
cost
enjoy
there,
an
did they?
additional story exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, along with
Like that
improved
Zelda
graphics
stuff, they
and
should
frame
not be
rates.
charging money for. Because that's not content, that's just feature stuff.
This story takes place in the Forgotten Land after being struck by a powerful meteor that's causing some mysterious changes. We hope you're looking forward to Kirby's new adventure. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond will have both a Nintendo Switch and a Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
So they're still considering this a Switch 1 game enhanced. They're not doing what they would consider a native Switch 2.
In addition to standard controls,
I mean, the difference is so
mouse
slim.
Controls for intuitive gameplay on Switch 2. Plus, you can explore the immersive world in 4K at 60 frames per second, or enjoy smoother action in
Quality and
Full HD
performance
at
mode. Here we
120
are.
frames per second.
Modern video games.
Choose from these two modes, both of which support HDR, based on your preference and playstyle.
So it
Plus,
does do 4K on a TV then.
Pokémon Legends ZA, which is scheduled to launch later this year, will not only receive a Nintendo Switch version, but a Nintendo Switch 2 edition as well. By taking advantage of the power of Switch 2, you can enjoy your adventure in Lumio City with enhanced resolution and frame rates. The Nintendo Switch 2 edition games you just saw will be available as both physical and digital versions.
Okay.
And if you already own the Nintendo Switch version of a game, you can play the Nintendo
Purchasing
Switch
an
2
upgrade
edition by
pack. So even
purchasing
for
an
Zelda,
upgrade pack.
which is not new
We hope you're looking
content.
forward to these
I don't
Nintendo
think
Switch 2
that's
edition
I,
games.
that's
Next,
charging
I'd
for
like
like,
to
hey,
introduce
we
a brand
added new mini
game
games or
featuring
whatever.
mouse
I think makes a ton of
controls with
sense,
Joy-Con 2
but
controllers.
for being like, hey, we made the game look a little, you know,
Please take
like,
a look.
There you go. Two mice at the same time doing mech turning. Yeah, all right. Huh. I think it's really wild that they're making a wheelchair basketball game. And I think that makes a ton of sense given the controls that they're trying to, you know, show off and stuff, like conceptually. Cool trick. I mean, some of the interesting things they can do with, you know, Joy-Con as a mouse is that you can do stuff like lifting up the controller to do other motions in addition to the mouse stuff.
In
So
Drag and Drive, you'll use both Joy-Con 2 controllers as mice to intuitively pull off various moves. We hope you're looking forward to a new twist on 3-on-3 matches using dual mouse controls. Next, here are some games from our publishing and development partners coming to Nintendo Switch 2.
okay.
I have long observed the lands between. This world is in dire need of repair.
Yeah.
You can see them, can't you?
Elden Ring Armored Edition.
That guide you through your burden. I have no doubt you will become Elden Lord. May you take the throne.
Oh, Tarnished Edition. Sorry. Totally different.
Hey, I'm Greg
This guy.
from Supergiant Games, here to say that Hades 2 is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Our first ever sequel introduces the Princess of the Dead, an immortal witch out to vanquish the sinister Titan of Time. You'll battle beyond the underworld to the ends of the earth,
Cool. This
getting to know dozens of characters from Greek myth in a
I
story
have not
that
been playing a
reacts
ton of
to
this.
every
I
setback.
played a bunch of it when it first hit
the
early
kind of game
access,
you can quickly
and
pick up and play
much like
whether you're
Hades 1, I'm kind
experienced
of
with the
going
original or
to
not.
wait a long time and then
More
play
about
more.
Hades 2 later this year.
皆さんこんにちは。カプコンの中山です。我々がお届けするタイトルはストリートファイター6です。本体を持ち寄っての対戦はもちろん
Will it have crossplay? I think is the question about a Street Fighter 6.
通常版の他に総勢26キャラクターを収録した Years 1-2 Fighters Edition の2バージョンを
Street Fighter Fighters Edition. Oh man. Luke from Streets is an amiibo. They're putting these guys in Smash? What are we doing?
Initiating Arsenal boot sequence. Weapon safety mechanism confirmed. All operating at normal levels. Testing data link with spine. Normal. Commencing launch.
After 2 long wars where our freedom was restricted, we will finally be liberated from humans.
I'm in need of a new arsenal, new equipment, and money. I'm for sale.
Same.
Or buying.
Rebels! Thanks for the warm welcome!
This planet will be ours.
The Sovereign Axiom, the Trinitas, has almost completed a weapon that was created to destroy all humanity.
No! Because we're in the middle of a
This
war.
looks pretty rad.
Don't you get it?
Will it have mouse support?
I'll tear you apart!
All children bring hope to our lives, don't they?
Hey, this is Joseph Forrest from Hazelight. I'm super excited for Split Fiction to come to Nintendo Switch 2.
Can you play this game locally?
The game is a story about friendship. You play as Mio, who writes sci-fi, and Zoe, who writes fantasy. Together,
Without having
they
to
get trapped in
download
their own
the game on a
stories,
second
and it's up
unit.
to you and a friend to help them break free. Now, let me tell you this. If you like It Takes Two, you're gonna love this one, trust me. And of course, you'll be able to play Split Fiction on the day Switch 2 launches.
At EA Sports, we're bringing fans together across the world, both on the pitch and on the gridiron. We're excited to announce that EA Sports FC will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Madden NFL will also be arriving on the Nintendo platform. EA Sports, it's in the game.
Hi, I'm Alan Tu from Avalanche Software. We are bringing Hogwarts Legacy to
Armored
Nintendo Switch
edition.
2.
Like whenever they
With
say,
enhanced
"Hey, we're
graphics
bringing a
and
game," and it's like
seamless
this
flow
old on it, like this doesn't feel
You'll
good.
be immersed in the Wizarding World like never before.
I don't come away from this going like, "Ah, yeah." It's more just
and the
like,
mouse controls on Switch 2 give you even more ways to experience the adventure.
but you know, you got to clear out the backlogs at launch,
Discover
right?
the enhanced magic when Hogwarts Legacy launches on the same day as Switch 2.
Like, do I do any wizarding with a Joy-Con? Like, show something. Okay, yeah. Like, this won't be launched because this isn't out until July. Oh, this Tokyo level is so good. Ugh, it's so good.
Hello, this is Christian Elverdam from IO Interactive. We are bringing our flagship title, Hitman World of Assassination, to Nintendo Switch 2. As the best assassin in the trade, Agent 47 does everything he can to accomplish his mission. And how each mission progresses will vary depending on the player's imagination.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
Game will release on the same day as Switch 2. Plus, we are excited to bring another familiar agent to the platform.
Here we go. Now we're talking. Like, show me something, man.
James Bond. The world's favorite spy is coming to Nintendo Switch 2, so stay tuned.
Okay. No actual detail, but all right.
The story
They've been working on the game for a while now.
Never fades. Is reborn. Bravely Default returns, remastered in high definition.
featuring the Brave and Default commands that help you control the flow of turn-based.
I love to Brave. I'm not really big on defaulting if I can avoid it.
Enjoy your adventure.
Why was that running so fast? What is happening? Does it have a fast forward mode because they realize like just combat's like kind of mouse controlled mini games. Okay.
Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster. Set foot in Luxembourg as a warrior of light once more.
セガ龍が如くスタジオ代表の横山です。
Cool.
我々がお送りするタイトルは
Yeah, okay. Shit. Fuck. Fuck, shit.
1988年、東京と大阪2つの歓楽街を舞台に土地を巡る争奪戦が勃発。伝説の始まりを追加シーンとともにお楽しみください。
What are they adding to it? I mean,
発売日は Nintendo Switch 2の発売と同じ日です。今後のシリーズ展開にもぜひご期待ください。
Zero is such a good game. I mean, they're all cool, but I
games
just...
to show from our publishing and development partners. But for now, we'd like to show a game being developed in collaboration with Nintendo. Please take a look.
Oh, is this... What is this? Another...
When the Zonai, who
Like
descended
Hyrule
from the
Warriors
heavens,
2, 3, whatever.
joined hands with the Hylians, who dwelled on the surface. Their union led to a great and prosperous kingdom. But in time, a terrible evil arose.
The apostrophe of doom.
One which future generations would call the imprisoning war.
Perhaps you truly have traveled back in time.
So that's Hyrule Castle? Then that must mean this really is the past.
Okay, neat. Right up until they show the game itself. Then I'm like, oh, right, yeah. I don't want to... But that's, you know, that this is a cool place to set a story, right? You know? We truly live in an age of imprisonment.
That was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. It's being developed by Koei Tecmo Games with support from Nintendo. We hope you're looking forward to the untold story of the Imprisoning War, which took place in Hyrule long ago.
And now, some news about Nintendo Switch Online. You can continue to enjoy Nintendo Switch Online on Switch 2. And with Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack, you can enjoy a new membership benefit exclusively on Switch 2. Please take a look at this.
Ultra HD Rumble.
Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack will be getting a new classic game library exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo GameCube, originally released in 2001. Here are the titles that will be available at launch. A Legend of Zelda game that looks
Finally,
like a cartoon
your
come
Wind
to life
Waker
through
remake.
cell shading. Controlling the wind using a mysterious baton, Link sets sail on an adventure across the Great Sea. The Legend of Zelda?
Oh, this was such a great game.
Transcending history
This
and the world.
less so.
A tale of souls and swords eternally retold. In this 3D, weapons-based fighting game, each
Nice
fighter comes
of
equipped
someone
with a
to
different
remember
weapon,
the Soul
and
Calibur
Link
exists.
From the Legend of Zelda series
I guess.
enters the fray. Soul Calibur 2. Experience a world of white-knuckle racing at speeds over 2,000
don't show me F-Zero
kilometers per hour.
GX. That just means you're not going to make a fucking new
All on the
F-Zero.
line in death-defying races. Featuring the series' first machine customization and story mode, get ready to experience F-Zero GX. In games that support multiplayer, up to 4 can play together locally or online. Enjoy these classic games with clearer image quality and higher resolution than the original releases. You can also check the controls for each title and customize them to your liking. More titles will be added in the future.
A little chibi robo for you. Yeah, sure, cool.
Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo
Yes,
Classics,
they should do this.
The Switch 2 exclusive game library coming to Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack launches the same day as the hardware's release. And a dedicated controller designed after the original GameCube controller will also be released.
You were right, people that stared at a rectangle and said, this is a GameCube controller. You were all right.
The Nintendo GameCube controller, exclusively available for Nintendo Switch Online members, will also be available the same day as Nintendo Switch 2.
Whether you're familiar with the games or haven't played them before, we hope you're looking forward to Nintendo GameCube.
These games, you know, the games they're choosing to launch with are all games that seem like they would age really well and be cool to play now.
Okay,
So
let's
those
see
are good
some more
choices.
games from our publishing and development partners.
One, two, three, four, switch. Oh. I mean, you know, it's a not to belittle Deltarune or any of this stuff, but like it's pretty awesome that this is getting shown on this specific stage. You know, like, hey, we're unveiling our new system. Oh,
Hi, I'm Randy from Gearbox. Borderlands 4, our upcoming flagship Borderlands game, will launch on Nintendo Switch 2. Borderlands is back. Loot and shoot your way through a world filled with wild enemies and outrageous weapons. We're still in development, and it's already the most ambitious Borderlands game we've ever made. Borderlands 4 will launch in 2025. We'll be sharing a lot of the game in the months ahead, and there's more from 2K on the way.
Hi, I'm Dennis Shirk from Firaxis Games. We're
There you go.
releasing a Nintendo Switch
Civ.
2 edition of Sid Meier's Civilization 7. In Civ 7, you'll establish an empire and guide your people throughout the ages of history. With the new mouse controls, players can enjoy a more intuitive gameplay experience.
Mm-hmm.
Civ 7 launches on the same day as Switch 2. And if you already own the Nintendo Switch version, you can experience mouse controls on Switch 2 by purchasing the upgrade.
Dude.
And we have even more news from 2K.
Hi, I'm Lionel Jinks.
And I'm Ben Bishop.
Our final announcement for today is that WWE 2K is coming to Nintendo Switch 2.
Plus NBA 2K as well.
We can't wait to see you in the ring.
And on the
So
court.
this is like really solid bread and butter stuff that like the original Switch kind of didn't get a ton of, right? So
Off they went, armed with nothing but youthful enthusiasm and a profound lack of
right? Because when was the last time a WWE game appeared on
Let's slay some trees.
a Nintendo platform?
Awesome! You nailed it!
All right, what do we got going on here?
Tastes amazing, doesn't it? Really have started to taste amazing, doesn't it?
Okay, that's just
Really have started to master. Really have
happening, huh?
started to master this survival thing.
Switching between
The top.
versions to see if just one.
Ha! Nicely done. Well, I think that's everything. Let's
I think
set
that's
sail.
everything.
This time for home.
What's going? I mean, is YouTube just crushing under the weight of the number of people watching this? It says 1.2 million, 1.3 million. That's not that many, is it? Let's
dodge countless bullets and aim for the gungeon.
Let's dodge countless bullets by refreshing this page and see. Nope. Nope. This is just hosed. Is it same on Twitch? Man.
Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action-adventure RPG set in Night City. Thanks to Nintendo Switch 2, you can transport yourself to the city of dreams at home or on the go.
So here's the Twitch stream.
Get ready to meet unforgettable characters and discover engaging stories when Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate
Cyberpunk
Edition
looking different on
comes to
Switch.
Nintendo Switch 2 on launch day.
こんにちは。スクエアエニックスの浜口です。
Oh man.
任天堂スイッチ2でファイナルファンタジー7リメイクインターグレードを発売いたします。
What a terrible way to. Oh man, that's gotta be a bummer.
3部作シリーズの一作目となり20年以上の時を経て再創作された新しい FF7 を体験いただきます。新しい FF7 を体験いただきます。
Nintendo UK。
スイッチ2で展開する FF7 リメイクシリーズにぜひご期待ください。
Cool. Kitsugami's a good game. More people should play it. What's this? Puyo Puyo Tetris is a cool game. Cool that they're making more. This thing, so, alright. Outlaws, sure, cool. I guess. It'll be nice to get some direct comparisons about how some of those games run on this compared to other devices, right? Awakening Complete Edition. We heard you weren't making an F-Zero, so here we are. So some of those said Switch 2 Edition on them, and then some of them don't. And Fortnite, yeah, figured. Available at launch. Okay, now you're talking. Steam on the Switch too?
.ここまでたくさんのタイトルをご紹介してきましたが、次がソフトメーカーさんの最後のタイトルになります。
GTA
ご覧ください。
If ever you were going to give it a spot, it'd be this one. But, yeah, no.
I give you my blood. I give you
My born.
life.
I give you my... No.
Turn, O wheel, and transport him to a night of moonlight, to humanity's very dusk.
They said this was going to be the last third-party game that they show. Oh, God. A very pleasant-looking creature.
Close your eyes and contemplate now the moon, as befits the soon to depart.
I pray that you are able, carrier of blood.
Sure. Oh, is that guy's chest all fucked up? So they put Elon Musk in here.
The moon tears will flow for one, and one alone.
The Dusk Bloods. Doesn't really roll off the tongue super well, but whatever. The Dusk Bloods. But sure. Exclusive to Switch 2.
ご覧いただいたのは From Software さんが手掛ける
Is what that
完全新
implies.
作タイトル
Unless they're
です。
saying it's not on Switch 1.
どのようなゲームなのかについてはディレクターの宮崎さんが語るクリエイターズボイスを公開しますのでぜひご覧ください。ソフトメーカーさんのタイトルの紹介は以上です。ご出演いただいた開発者の皆様、また今回の発表に映像をご用意いただいたソフトメーカーの皆様、本当にありがとうございます。ご覧いただいた以外にも Nintendo Switch 2に向けて多くのゲーム開発を進めていただいています。今後もたくさんのタイトルをご紹介していきますのでお楽しみに。続いてはこちらの映像をご覧ください。
Huh. Sure. I like the idea that he's already traveling on a freaking star, but that's not enough. We need jets. The way they slammed the S on there. Like, hey, by the way, it can only be one person. There you go. Cool. Like I was saying, it'd be weird to get a Kirby near the start of a generation instead of the end.
桜井さんが手掛けるカービィのエアライダーにぜひご期待ください。次が最後の映像となります。ご覧ください。
Is this Pikmin? No. Oh. So a Donkey Kong platformer. Huh. There's a real, like, fuck this look to everything he does. He's like, fuck this, smash this shit. It's a real Incredible Hulk kind of thing to it. All right, some side-scrolling levels, a minecart level. All right, yeah, this looks pretty neat. I mean, it's not just another Donkey Kong Country game. Like, that I would not be on board for. Bananza.
「ご覧いただいたのはドンキーコングの新しい 3D アクションゲームドンキーコングバナンザです。唯一無二のパワーで敵も壁も地面もすべてを破壊しながら巨大な地下世界を突き進みます。詳細は改めてお伝えしますので。
They made themselves a Donkey Kong game what got a bunch of red faction in it.
ここまでご覧いただきありがとうございます。
改めてになりますが、Nintendo Switch 2の発売日は6月5日です。最後に発売する本体のご紹介です。まずは Nintendo Switch 2の本体です。これに加え、ダウンロード版のマリオカートワールドがセットになった本体も発売します。詳しくは
So we're probably not going to get US prices here. Okay, maybe they're not going to. Maybe they won't say any pricing here.
駆け足になりましたが、今回お伝えする内容は以上になります。
発売までもうしばらくお待ちいただくことになりますが、Nintendo Switch 2を皆さんにご体験いただけることを今からとても楽しみにしています。
最後までご覧いただき
So I wonder if when the website goes up, if that's where the price will be, or if that's going to be in a press release separately from this, or what the deal is. Huh. So what did we miss when the stream fucked up? Let's see.
Really have started to master this survival thing. Next stop, the top. Ha! Nicely done. Well, I think that's everything. Let's set sail. This time, for home.
Hi, I'm Dave Crooks from Dodge Roll. Here's the first look at Enter the Gungeon 2. Dodge countless bullets and aim for the Gungeon's depths in our roguelike shooter sequel. Now reloaded in a new 3D art style. But you can expect some fan-favorite elements to return. We're still working on the game, and we're excited to share more with you in the future.
I was gonna say this looks kind of like Astroneer, but okay, I guess it's an Astroneer.
Hello, my name is Adam Badowski from CD Projekt Red. We are delighted to bring the immersive world of the dark future to Nintendo players for the first time. Cyberpunk 2077 is an open-world action-adventure RPG set in Night City. Thanks to Nintendo Switch 2, you can transport yourself to the City of Dreams at home or on the go. Get ready to meet unforgettable characters and discover engaging stories when Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on launch day.
Again, like that'll be interesting to see from a specs perspective, is like how well does that port perform and all of that.
Final Fantasy VII リメイクインターグレードを発売いたします。本作はミッドガル脱出までを描いた3部作シリーズの1作目となり、20年以上の時を経て再創作された新しい FF7 を体験いただけます。スイッチ2で展開する FF7 リメイクシリーズにぜひご期待ください。
Okay, and this is kind of where we came back in. Okay. Yeah, that footage of Final Fantasy VII, you know, it didn't look like great, but I don't know, it looked fine. I think that'll be, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see like some of these games that are older. How well do they run? What are we, you know, what are they gonna do to them? Like, what sort of bells and whistles will they have? In terms of just, you know, I don't know, like ray tracing, reflection, blah blah. You know, like what sort of stuff do you get out of those games? Like Cyberpunk, they've done so much work to it, obviously, since that thing launched and added all their path traced lighting and all that other stuff. Like, obviously, I guess I shouldn't say obviously, but I don't think that stuff necessarily shows up on Switch 2. But what does, right? Like, what do they do? What can they do? And what can it do? Because everything they showed looked fine, but, you know, some stuff ran a little, you know, you see a few things that look like, this looks a little weird, this looks a little weird, but obviously, like, the first party stuff seems to run exactly how you think it should. I guess the question is, like, how many of these games are going to be how many of these games are going to show up on other platforms? Like, there were very few like brand new announcements here, right? So I guess at some point the question becomes like, I mean, it looks like Duskbloods really is being pitched as this is an exclusive game. So I assume that means it's not coming to PC. Maybe we can launch Steam here and see if some of these games have paid. Well, I guess I wouldn't even know what to look up. Like, what's the... If we assume Duskbloods is not coming anywhere else, then, you know, were there other games shown that you're like, oh man, is this coming anywhere else? Because it seems like a lot of those games had been already, you know, already announced for other platforms and so on. So let's look and see. Okay, there we go. Business Wire. They threw out the press release there with the price on it. $449. Interesting of them to not just give the price in the video, but the reason they don't do that is because the videos can leak. You know, there's a lot more moving parts in that than there is in issuing a press release, and so, you know, that's probably why they didn't say anything specific there. Also, maybe that stuff was just the influx until relatively late in the game. $449 seems reasonable. And for that price, you will get the system, Joy-Cons, Joy-Con grip, Joy-Con straps, the dock, an ultra high-speed HDMI cable, an AC adapter, and a USB-C charging cable. If you want the bundle that also comes with a download code for Mario Kart World, there's your $499. The other things they're highlighting in this press release, like they go from that detail right into game chat. Whether sharing a victory or just waving hello, game chat makes it feel like online friends around the world are on the same couch. That's a very Nintendo-like solution, but also that feels like a solution that consoles specifically had and ditched after a generation or so. You know, this is Xbox Live Vision camera, iToy levels of functionality, and, you know, with a little bit of, you know, like iToy did some motion controlled games. It did them really poorly. We have to assume that all these years later that's going to work better, that background removal obviously has come a long way just as a general technology. But I will say that, like, their demo, the edge detection on people and some of the cutouts didn't look great, but they didn't look great in the same way that, like, you know, sometimes even NVIDIA's background removal stuff sometimes looks like shit around the edges. So it's not, you know, it's more just that, like, that feels like an idea whose time has come and gone. And maybe this is something that didn't necessarily happen in Japan the same way it happened elsewhere. And so, you know, in some regions of the world, it will seem like a fun new thing. And this also seems like a feature, like when you think about how they're framing it here, game chat makes it feel like online friends around the world are on the same couch. Like, that's a pandemic feature design. That's we can't get together, but now it's like we're all on the same couch. Like that feels like an idea they would have come up with then, which obviously, you know, that makes sense. But like devoting a button to voice chat and all that stuff, I think is fine. Because I think that, you know, that I think that's a hassle on PC, like push to talk stuff, and, you know, controllers not having an extra button for it. And so and especially, you know, if you're playing a game with a controller or you're reaching over to push to talk, am I getting a foot pedal for it? Like, you can do that, of course. You know, so devoting a button to some kind of voice chat thing, which I guess they're not necessarily using that for push to talk, though, are they? Maybe that'll be an option to do that. So yeah, like, they're leading with game chat as, like, from a features standpoint, that is literally the very first thing that they're getting into. And then from there, it's the screen, it's the magnetic Joy-Cons, it's the stand, It's the USB-C port. And then it's graphical capabilities. No details, just Nintendo Switch 2 has significantly improved CPU and GPU performance over Nintendo Switch, resulting in faster processing speed and enabling new visually advanced gameplay. It also makes it possible to achieve more detailed graphics and faster loading times. Like, yeah. And in the same vein, faster loading times, you know, they have said that they are not going to support regular micro SD cards. You're going to have a micro SD Express, which is, you know, not unlike some of the stuff that like Xbox does in terms of limiting, you know, you have to use one of their storage cards in order to install modern Xbox games and play it off an external device. You can't just plug in any old USB-C and go that way with it. Spatial 3D audio, 256 gigs of storage. That's a fine number. I would have loved to have seen 512 here. But that's, I don't know. We need to know what game sizes are going to look like on this thing. You know, not, you know, Call of Duty is, I think my PC install of Call of Duty is over 300 gigs now because it's multiple years of Call of Duty bundled into one. Obviously, that's not going to fly on a Switch 2, but the install sizes will probably be smaller because, well, the thing will run at 4K, so. But it's not going to have 4K assets all the time. Yeah, output video up to 4K and play games up to 120 frames per second via compatible games and TVs. We'll see how many games actually support that and support it the way you want it to. 4K 120 is a great bullet point, but like realistically, you know, what are they gonna? What are they gonna? How many games are gonna support that? How, you know, they even said. They listed a game with, you know, performance mode and you know, that was Metroid, right? Metroid was going to have, like, you could do like 1080 120 if you're docked and 4K 60 if you're docked, but then undocked, that was lower. So how many games will actually, I guess I'll put it to you this way. Will there be a single game that actually runs at 4K 120? Or will it be like, oh, you can get 4K 60, you can get, you know, 1080 120, you can do this? Like, how many weird cuts and compromises are you gonna have to like think about on that front? Game share is mentioned here, which is their, you know, single cart multiplayer solution. They mentioned the virtual game card stuff that they're rolling out to Switch 1. They mentioned the GameCube stuff, and as part of the Nintendo Switch Online paragraph, accessibility features such as ability to adjust font size, screen reader, speech to text. They mentioned the parental control app, and then they mentioned that pre-orders in North America will begin April 9th, which is a week from today. That's Wednesday. And then from there, they get into games without really giving any details on pricing, at least in their press release. So let's see here. Mario Kart World is out June 5th. They're going to have a Mario Kart World Direct on April 17th. Donkey Kong Bananza is out July. It's Nintendo Switch 2, July 17th. I was just reading, it says 2 July 17, and I'm like, why did they write it British? And then I was like, why is this game coming out in 2017? No, Nintendo Switch 2, July 17th. Okay. Spain is listing an $80 digital Mario Kart and a $90 physical. That can't. Surely those are not prices that are going to be reflected in US dollars. Like, Like that's got to be between currency conversions and just, game pricing being different in different parts of the world. I don't necessarily think that's, well, we'll see, right? Anything's possible, but that doesn't seem like something that would be reflected in the US price. But let's see what we can suss out here in a minute. Let me look through the rest of this press release here. The new capabilities of Nintendo Switch 2 allow for compatible physical and digital games released on Nintendo Switch to receive paid Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrade packs. Very quick to say paid right there in the first mention of this feature. Featuring enhanced graphics, exclusive content offerings, and new gameplay experiences. And then they go on to mention Mario Party Jamboree, the Zeldas. So here's what they're saying specifically about the Zeldas. It's kind of not that different from what they, performance upgrades, smoother frame rates, faster load times, better graphics. And also the Switch app will get Zelda Notes, and that is exclusive to the Switch 2 edition, which seems like such a thin update to include. It will even feature commentary from Princess Zelda herself that was not part of the original games. Both upgraded titles will be available at launch. That doesn't seem that doesn't seem great. I don't like that at all. I think if they're, when they're adding Jamboree TV with a bunch of new games to Mario Party, then I think you can look at that and go, hey, okay, sure. That's something you would pay an additional fee for. When they say, hey, we're making the games run better, but they're not going to be native Switch 2 like presumably if you design these games from the ground up for the Switch 2, you would not have to deal with this. Or rather, like if you were designing these games from the ground up for the Switch 2, then they would probably look even better. So paying additional money for upgraded graphics on Switch 1 games, I think, is a really nickel and diming kind of move. It doesn't seem great. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is getting that Star-Crossed World upgrade. Metroid Prime 4 is... Okay, so this one's a little different because they're saying this title will release on both Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, rather than saying like the whole Switch 2 edition naming scheme here. Quality mode and performance mode, 4K 60 or 1080 120. For Pokemon Legends, they're just like, you can enjoy it on Switch 2 with enhanced resolution and frame rates. That's it. Like it's a single sentence. Dragon Drive, Dusk Bloods. So April 4th, they will have a Developer's Diary series, a creator's voice with Miyazaki talking about the Dusk Bloods. That's out next year. Is listed as a brand new multiplayer title from the creators of Dark Souls and Elden Ring, available exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2. So they're billing that as multiplayer right out of the gate. Japanese pricing, 89, just under 9,000 yen for Mario Kart World. Which, the yen has been terrible for a long time. In ancient prices, that does not convert well for the US, but that's not what at those rates, at those conversion rates, like a Switch 2 at 49,980 yen converts to somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 and change, $330, somewhere around there in USDs. So, you think about that for games. it's not a fair conversion, or it's not an accurate conversion, because obviously they're gonna charge what they're gonna charge. Okay, they're saying the Zelda upgrades are free for expansion pack members. That's okay. That's fine. That seems sensible. But not, I don't know. Yeah. So Duskbloods is out next year. They don't say specifically which NBA and which WWE are coming. They're just saying the franchises are coming. Same with Madden and soccer from EA. The friend pass stuff for Split Fiction appears to be intact here. Players can also invite a friend to play for free via crossplay on Nintendo Switch 2 with Friends Pass. Cyberpunk is a launch day game. Street Fighter 6 is launch day. Civ is launch. No date given for Final Fantasy. Hogwarts is launch. Bravely Default is launch. Borderlands is 2025. Tony Hawk is summer, which is, them. Obviously, that game's not out until after the Switch 2 is out. Yakuza 0 is launch. Fortnite is launch. Gungeon is 2026. Hitman is launch. No date given for Bond. And then Silk Song is literally the last game mentioned here. There's just a sentence that says, and that's not all, as Nintendo Switch 2 welcomes Starseeker, Daemon X Machina, Titan Scion, Deltarune, Survival Kids, Star Wars Outlaws, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, and more. No additional details there. I heard that Bond game looks pretty hot. I'm bummed that they didn't really show anything of it, but I guess that makes sense. But pricing, yeah, people in chat have been throwing around pricing on games in a way that really doesn't sound great. Trying to say that Mario Kart is $80. I'm not seeing. I don't know where that is being reported. I haven't seen anything on that just yet, or if that's something that's showing up on US based. Okay, Nintendo's US site is showing game pricing. Well, now you know why they didn't spend a bunch of time in the video on it, huh? That's too much money for a video game. I think, not to. Let's see here. And I guess what will be the situation, so something like Tony Hawk, they're listing it as $50 on Nintendo Switch. So what do you get? On a Switch 2 with that version of the game, there's a lot of, I am digging through the Nintendo site here and not immediately seeing any Switch 2 games in their store. But where is it? Mm-hmm. The bundling is the bundling is basically saying that Mario Kart will be $50 in a bundle, which you would assume. Yeah, there we go. Available June 5th, $79.99 MSRP. Fuck that, dude. That's too much money. That's too much money. That's fucking, that's a crazed amount of money. Yeah, man. Okay. They're gonna make a wheel. They're making a Joy-Con 2 wheel with magnetic connections. That is too much money. That's too much money. I don't have any further commentary on that. That is too much fucking money. $80 for Mario Kart is too much money. I don't care how open that world is. That is too much money. Does it come with, I guess, okay. Does it come with the wheel? It doesn't. That just takes you to an accessories page. No, the Joy-Con wheels are $20 for a set of 2. The camera's $50. If you want to buy a second dock, it's $110. Joy-Con charging grip $35. A set of Joy-Cons $90 for a set of Joy-Con 2s. $90. How much is the Pro Controller? $80 for a Pro Controller. This is that's too much money. Yeah, how much is it? Yeah, just to refresh my memory here, like a regular DualSense is $70, right? $75. Okay. That's not far off on the controller. $90 for Joy-Cons seems pricey to me. Yeah, man, $50 for the camera seems like a reasonable, I don't know. When you're not using the camera, you can cover the lens with the built-in privacy shutter. It's a USB-C camera. I mean, it doesn't say anything about the quality of the, there's no details about what is the, resolution of the camera or anything like that. So yeah, they are listing Mario Kart as just straight up $80. Like, it's not, that doesn't seem like it's a bundle that comes with, that doesn't seem like a bundle that comes with a wheel. Video Games Chronicle is saying that is okay, and they've got these danged United Kingdom prices: £75 for a physical copy, but the digital version is $67 or $66.99. So yeah, will a digital copy of Mario Kart World be less? Will they charge $70 for a digital copy of Mario Kart World if you don't get it in a bundle, right? Because if you get it in the bundle, it's $50 because that's what it's going to add on to the price. Yeah, I mean, that's odd. That's a very odd. If is this us seeing the end of physical games? Is that the pitch here? Of like, hey, we're gonna. Yeah, okay. We have someone reporting. Senf is saying in the EU, €80 for digital, €90 for physical. which I think that maps relatively directly to the pounds price, right? Of £75 physical, $66.99 for digital. Is this is this going to reflect across the entire line? Is this them saying, hey, it costs us money to make these cartridges and whatever else, and so we're gonna upcharge on those if you want them, and so instead get a digital version? Like the pricing for digital doesn't seem like amazing, but like that's, if they end up going with $70 for digital versions of games. Okay. Letters Word says Donkey Kong is also upcharged by 10, but it's 70 and 80. So why is Mario Kart World more expensive than the other games? I don't feel like they made a good case for that in what they showed, and I think that that's like a weird way to go. Let's see what other reporting we can find here about some of this stuff. Let's see. Like, I'd be interested to see some US pricing for some more of this stuff, but let's okay, featured. Okay, learn more about Donkey Kong Bananza. A groundbreaking adventure starring Donkey Kong. Let me scroll through their very long, slow scrolling website. That's very fancy. Donkey Kong is punching stuff as I'm scrolling. They're really... Golden Banana. Yeah, so $69.99 MSRP is what they're saying for Donkey Kong. So are they literally just like, hey, we know a lot of people will buy Mario Kart, and so we're going to charge $10 more? Is there more game here? Or, they're already reflecting a variety in pricing across like the very few games that they did show. So what does that mean? I mean, presumably we don't go any lower than 70. On any of the first party games. But I guess like that's the thing is I feel like nothing they showed there with Mario Kart reflects. I mean, it's bigger for Mario Kart, but I don't know that it doesn't come across as like this is such a this is something that you definitely need to pay more money for because of it being the XYZ. Like there was nothing in there that came across that way to me. Those are the only two games in their featured games section that are getting kind of their own pages. And so none of these other games are showing like pricing or updates. I think charging for the welcome tour thing is really is actually pretty nasty business as well. Like it just that the Switch 2 welcome tour, unless there's way more to it than they're showing, that to me feels akin to the I forget the name of it, the thing that you could run on a Steam Deck that that would that had like a fun little couple of games, but really just was showing off here's what the system can do, and it has a little bit of flavor to it, and when you're done with it, the desk job, the Aperture desk job thing, that was cool once as a thing that you could just get for free and just go like, neat. This feels like it should be more like that, and here's a thing that you can just fuck around with to get a sense of what the mouse can do and get a sense of what these different things can how they can work. And I think charging for the welcome tour is pretty nasty. It sounds like they are also region locking the Japanese version of the console. Based on what I'm seeing across a couple of these chats here, which I think, given the pricing disparity for, you know, how dog shit the yen is performing right now and what they can get away with charging in that market, I think in order to prevent, you know, people from importing and getting better pricing and all that, to protect their prices in other regions, I think it makes sense. I mean, it sucks, right? I'm not going to sit here and say like, good on them, you know, but I could see why they would do that in this situation with the economy being where it is. And then it sounds like that, yes, that if you want a region-free unit, you can pay more for that, which is wild. The idea of buying an unlocked Nintendo Switch like it was a fucking phone is bizarre. This is all very bizarre. It was like, here's a video that sounds very straightforward and hooray. And then immediately after the video goes off, it's just like, oh, by the way, welcome to our nightmare. Like, what the hell? Yeah, presumably with the pricing, you know, the other Switches would be unlocked. And so, you know, it's just like, hey, if you want a reasonably priced Switch in Japan, you're going to have to be saddled with region locking. You know, so I wonder if it's the sort of thing where other versions of the console are all completely unlocked or not. We'll have to wait and see on that, I guess. This is not awesome. You know, I don't know. How to buy. Register your interests to buy from My Nintendo Store. We'll be in touch with an invitation email when it's your turn to shop. Okay, I'm going to click the register interest button. Your registration was submitted. Eligible Nintendo account holders will receive an email when it's time to purchase. We'll see, you know, I guess we'll see. Okay, what do we... Open to Nintendo account holders in the US and Canada. An invitation email will be sent. The invitation will be valid for 72 hours. Invitation emails are prioritized on a first-come, first-served basis. To registrants who have purchased a Nintendo Switch Online membership with a minimum of 12 months of paid membership and a minimum of 50 total gameplay hours as of April 2nd. So if you have not played a Switch for 50 hours, you cannot buy a Switch 2 from them. If you are not a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, you cannot buy a Switch 2 from them. Which you know, whatever, they got to filter it out somehow, as far as like something that tries at least to handle scalpers. That seems reasonable. Surely in all of these years combined, I have amassed over 50 hours of gameplay on a Nintendo Switch. It's funny, though, that I've sit here and think about it going, you know, maybe played some Splatoon, played a lot of Zelda, played a lot of Mario. Yeah, that's probably... Actually, I think with the amount that my daughter has been playing a lot of games on my account for the last year or so, you know, it's definitely well over 50. But yeah, this is this is questionable, I guess I would say. They haven't really explained anything about why the pricing between Donkey Kong and Mario Kart is different. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It just feels like something that they Well, whatever. They don't necessarily need to explain themselves like in that way, but like I mean, like in terms of what they showed, it just seems weird. It seems weird. It seems off. I haven't seen anything on here. If anyone has seen, I saw some screenshots of some compatibility list type stuff going around. Games that cannot be played on Switch 2. Nintendo Labo Toy-Con 4 VR kit. The Nintendo Switch 2 console cannot be inserted into the Toy-Con VR goggles accessory, so this game cannot be played. Yeah. That makes sense. It would make sense that those would be the sorts of games that would be not compatible. Okay, the Japanese site has compatibility. Let's see if we can find it here. That's right. Throw out your Labos, man. We're done. The Labo era is over. And retailers are not going to start taking pre-orders until the 9th, and so the site for buying a Switch 2 does not list any retailer pre-orders at this point. You scroll down to the bottom and it just says more good stuff on the way and shows a bunch of game logos. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer is right next to Fortnite, as it should be. 2 equally important video games. Upgrade packs, learn more. 1440p in TV mode, 1080p undocked for Super Mario Party Jamboree. For Zelda, it's, what we said, faster load times, blah, blah, blah. Kirby, a new story, visually enhanced with improved frame rate. And Pokemon Legends, improved performance with higher frame rate. For Metroid, mouse controls, resolution, textures, load times, performance and quality modes. And both display modes feature HDR support. How do you purchase the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition? Shop Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games at retailers that sell video games, at the official My Nintendo store, or the Nintendo eShop on your system. Physical version, Switch 2 package, description banned on bottom of package. Digital version. Look for Nintendo Switch 2 Edition in the game title. If you already have this, then you can buy an upgrade pack. They don't, the Zelda ones are included with your fully upgraded Nintendo Switch Online membership. It comes with upgrades for both the Zelda games. But they don't say anything specific about the cost of upgrades here on this website. Compatible games. Very low number of not compatible games. Some third-party games that will have issues according to these bar charts that they've created. Okay, let's see. Game that cannot be played. So it's the Labo Toy-Con 4. Games with compatibility issues. It's a hot PDF. And they're working to continue to improve compatibility. So these are lists that will presumably be updated. Nintendo Switch games with startup issues on Switch 2. 112 operator. And all right next to all of them, it just says, this issue is being investigated. The Arcade Archives games, so you cannot play Dig Dug on a Switch 2. I'm sorry to say. Fucking throw your Switch 2 in the garbage. It can't play Dig Dug. We're done. A Boy and His Blob Retro Collection. Batman: The Enemy Within. I'm just kind of picking out a handful of games here. Doom Eternal will not currently run on a Switch 2, or rather, it has startup issues, which I assume means it will not run if it has issues starting up. Floor Kids, Fortnite. For Fortnite, it just says a Nintendo Switch 2 version is being planned. Grid Autosport, Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection, NBA 2K18 and NBA 2K25. Pizza Tower, fuck. River City Girls 0, Rocket League, Roller Champions, South Park, The Fractured But Whole, The Dark Forces Remaster, Super Mega Baseball 3, Jackbox Party Pack 1 and 2, Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, Trover Saves the Universe, Wolfenstein 2, World of Tanks Blitz, Warframe, Assault Suit Lanos 2, Saturn Tribute, Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. All right, Nintendo Switch games that start up on Switch 2 but include some in-game compatibility issues. That's a shorter list. Alan Wake Remastered, Alien Isolation, Fall Guys, Hitman 3 Cloud version, Hot Wheels Unleashed, Just Dance 2019, Saints Row 4 Reelected, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, Stumble Guys, and so on. So that's work that they're continuing to do from the sounds of things, and so presumably that list gets shorter as time goes on. We'll see. There are also games that require you to use the original Joy-Cons. You cannot use Joy-Con 2s to play. It says here, if you have Switch Joy-Con controllers and connect them wirelessly, you can play these games as you would. And that includes Ring Fit Adventure, 1-2 Switch, Everybody 1-2 Switch, Game Builder Garage. And they give reasons, which is actually kind of nice. For Game Builder Garage, Joy-Con 2 controllers don't include an IR motion camera as featured on the Switch Joy-Con. So it's only possible to use the IR motion camera node-on or IR light node-on in the free programming mode if you wirelessly connect a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. For Everybody 1-2 Switch, the volume of the Joy-Con 2 controller's force feedback vibrations has been reduced compared to the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers, so it may be more difficult to find hidden Joy-Con 2 in the minigame Joy-Con Hide and Seek. 1-2 Switch has mini games that use the IR motion camera. With Ring Fit, obviously you cannot plug a Joy-Con 2 into a Ring-Con accessory. Nintendo Switch Sports Joy-Con 2 controllers do not fit the leg strap accessory, so you can only play soccer shootout mode with an original Switch Joy-Con. WarioWare Move It has IR motion camera stuff. Labo 1, 2, and 3 for a variety of reasons. Are on this list as well. So with those games, if you have your original Joy-Cons, you can attach them to a Switch 2 and you can still use them. So you can play Switch Sports, but you can play all of Switch Sports except for the soccer shootout mode on Switch 2. But if you want to play soccer shootout mode, you need a Joy-Con 1 to do it. So backwards compatibility, that those seem like reasonable. Like the list of games with compatibility issues is a little long right now. We'll see, how much closer that gets, or how much lower that gets by the time they launch. Let's see here. VGC is reporting that the Switch 2 GameCube controller will only be offered to those who pre-order the console, at least in the UK. That's according to the My Nintendo UK store. That players who were invited to pre-order the console will be also able to purchase the GameCube controller. which makes sense considering they're selling it specifically to play GameCube games on a Switch 2. Though I'm sure people would love to tether one of those to a PC and do God knows what with it. Who could even imagine? Let's see. Nothing on Xbox Wire about here's our Switch 2 games. I haven't really seen any kind of additional third-party announcements at this point. The Cyber Stick that I bought off of Yahoo Japan auctions arrived at the Bai warehouse, so I need to pay them to ship it to me now. That's very exciting. Yeah, I got a quick press release about Split Fiction, but nothing new there. GameShare will allow players to play locally with just one copy of the game and another player on their Switch 2, even if they don't own the game. Game Chat on Nintendo Switch 2 will enable players to share live video and voice chat from their system. I wonder if Game Chat ends up being a specific kind of game-by-game basis thing, or if it is just baked in system level. Every game must support it. If you remember, there were some video capture stuff on the original Switch that, like, if developers were using too much of the power of the system, then, you know, you wouldn't necessarily have those capabilities there. I got a press release about Snakebite. A company called Snakebite is making a bunch of Switch 2 accessories. They've announced their line, including a controller with a C button on it. It looks terrible. A carrying case and headphones. Their own dock for the Joy-Cons. They're making their own USB-C cable, people. Charging dock for the controllers. This stuff looks bad. So yes, the accessory makers are ready to get in on the act with this stuff as well. Yeah, I saw someone use the phrase game key card, which is that something that is that verbiage that they're using across all? Oh, okay. So they're what they're doing is they are forcing developers. From the looks of this, there is going to be a specific packaging call out if the full game is not on the card, which obviously that happens quite a bit on the original Switch. Like, there are definitely situations where, like, the thing that comes on the card, or even games that come on Blu-rays that are not the full version of the game, and you must connect online to download everything that was promised. This is a practice that's been happening for a good long time now, but what Nintendo is changing is that they are going to force something on the packaging that says this is a game key card. This is on the Nintendo support site. Game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play the game by inserting the game key card into your system and starting it up like a standard physical game card. And they show a look at the packaging. And it looks like on the front of the box, it will be a white strip at the bottom that says game key card on it. And that seems very sensible. That I think that's a welcome change, again, because that's something that you used to not know until you bought a game and put it in, and it went like, oh, by the way, you need to download a bunch of shit. You know, like that is a practice that's been happening for a long time. If you see people freaking out about this, they are like 7 years too late to freak out about it, because that ship sailed a long time ago. And that's not to say it's a good thing, but it is a good thing that they're at least calling it out and being more transparent about it and saying, hey, you're going to need to connect to the internet to get this, right on the front of the box and not in fine print on the back of the box, which half the time you can't see anyway until you've already bought the game. So yeah, in a world where, digital sales are only growing in percentage, this is something that is less of a deal as time goes on. It's funny, this is not that different, like the verbiage used is not that different from the original Xbox One plan. Well, like if you think about it, modern disc-based games are just installers, right? Because all they're doing is copying data from the disk to your hard drive. So discs haven't been discs for a very long time in the first place. Discs have basically been keys to access a game for a very long time. So even your physical games are fake, and they have been for a long time. So yeah, that's a good thing to call out. It's a good thing to call it out in a more dramatic or a more dramatic fashion, I guess I would say. Let's see here. Beggar Bear says, my physical games aren't fake. Like, okay, I mean, they're installers. It's like they might as well sell them on a USB stick, because all they're doing is copying them to the hard drive. And then from there, your disk is just used as a key to access the game. It's not running games off the disk. It's just not, that's just not how it works anymore. That ship sailed a long time ago. Remember when they changed it on Xbox 360 and got to the point where they're like, hey, we can, you can just install this full game from the disk to the hard drive of your Xbox 360. And everyone was like, hell yes, let's have it load faster. And thus, that was that, really. Checking out some other sites here to kind of see. I saw some numbers going around for upgrades, seemingly saying that, I can't verify this because I'm not looking at it right now. It was just looking at stuff in chat. But it sounds like upgrade fees are for games that do not have content are $10, and games with content are $20. I saw that floating around. I cannot verify that at this time. But I'm looking around for something that says that. Let's see. Discord is showing like a fucking ad for, what the fuck is this bullshit? Is this like their April Fool's joke? Like a day late of like forcing a fucking, like I can't click on things in the chat. Like the what the fuck is going on, man? The fuck is going on with Discord? I mean, what the fuck is going on with Discord is that they're gonna, they've been thinking about going public for a very long time. This is how that's working. But let's see here. Gotta pay. I am paying for Discord Premium. That's the fucked up thing, is I am paying Discord money for their stuff. And it is still presenting some bullshit trailer. Okay, the trailer says available April 1st. Like, this has to be their April Fool's joke. Like, do I need to restart Discord? Well, I guess I didn't restart Discord on the 1st. So is that why this bullshit is showing? Because it's different from their Quest bullshit. It's like new Discord bullshit. Yeah, no, it's still there. Fuck off, assholes. Trying to fucking work over here. Okay, Japanese Nintendo site says 1,000, according to R2 Saga in the chat, saying 1,000 yen for the upgrade pass for Tears of the Kingdom. And Mario Party is 2,000 yen. Again, exchange rates being what they are, that's not a direct, like, $10, $20 thing. But I bet by the time it gets here, that would make sense. Some games will have free updates. Odyssey will have a free update. Is it really? Okay. So the region locked. They're billing it as a Japanese language system, Japan only. And that'll be available from retailers, according to Video Games Chronicle. So domestic only will be $49,980, and the multilingual Switch 2 will be $69,980. So 20,000 yen more. That equates to $334 or $467. And the multilingual unit will only be available from purchase from Nintendo directly. And this makes sense. Like reselling and some of the other stuff happening in Japan, I think makes a ton of sense. It makes sense why they would do this. Again, I think it's shady is maybe the word, but like, this ends up being a less expensive Switch 2 for people in Japan, which with the yen being as weak as it is not the worst idea in the world. I just think like what's set against all of the pricing fucking weirdness feels bad. Sounds like they have a list of games with free updates somewhere on their site as well. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah, at the very, very bottom of the main kind of featured games page, they have the game key cards thing in a little learn more box. Nintendo available month 00 2025. Yeah, they've got a little updating to do on the website for sure. Upgrade packs. Let's look at the upgrade packs page and see if that's where this list is hiding. No, doesn't look like it's there. The people on the Discord are noting, the Pro Controller has back buttons. I think that's cool. I just, you can remap them to whatever you want. Which is where that breaks down for me, because I don't have a problem with existing button placement on existing controllers. It's rare that I want something different. I mean, there's going to be situations where you're going to be like, oh, well, in Call of Duty, if you had the reload button here instead of here, you don't have to take your thumb off the right stick. But like, I'm not esportsing at a level that requires that. You know what I mean? And clicking in the thumbsticks has never been a problem with me. That's something I see a lot of people complain about. I've just never had a big issue with it. So that's always kind of been like another, like, obvious, like, oh, you'd map it to that, but it just, I don't know, it's never really been a big deal for me personally. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not seeing the list of games that are getting free updates. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but there we go. Free updates for select Nintendo Switch games to improve playability on Switch 2 will be released. By connecting your Nintendo Switch 2 to the internet, you can download free updates that may improve performance or add support for features such as game share in select games. The contents of these free updates will differ depending on the game. This list is ARMS, Captain Toad, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games, which they mentioned, Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Big Brain Academy. Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, those games need to run better, so good. But it just says may improve performance. Like, it doesn't really get too specific about what these updates will contain. I assume in some cases these are going to be updates needed for Joy-Cons to work properly and whatever. Like something like ARMS, which is obviously like a Joy-Con kind of game. I wonder if it's a situation where like, oh, the Joy-Con 2s work just differently enough that we have to release a patch in order to support this. And so I wonder if that's the reason, because otherwise, why would ARMS be on this list? Not to be a jerk to ARMS, but you know what I mean. And so those are the games that are getting free updates. But if you want the updates for like Breath of the Wild, like that you got to pay them for. It doesn't really sit well, man. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Some of the like now that them having a batch of games that are getting free updates that may improve performance, when that's the only real thing I think you'd want out of Zelda. Well, maybe the performance improvements are more dramatic, right? It's going to be more than just, hey, the frame rate is more stable. It'll be more like, hey, you're going to get a higher resolution out of this. You're going to get, So they're probably doing more work on those Zelda games than they, especially if they're going to add this app thing they're doing, which the app thing to me looks like something they went and, whatever. I'll try it. But like sight unseen, the app thing looks more like, hey, we need to come up with a way to justify that we're not going to make this free. I put GPS in it. Right? Yeah, man, this all came out weird, huh? This all came out real weird, didn't it? This was like an hour of stuff that you look at and go like, okay, like not blowing me away, but like the couple of games, the couple of brand new games you showed looked neat. And yeah, sure. This all sounds cool. And the third party stuff, you look at it and go like, yeah, some of these games are a little older than, than maybe, again, is someone who just got done kind of talking shit about the Wii U launch and how it launched with like third party games that were like old in a way that you're like, okay, I guess it's cool that these are coming here for people who didn't play them somewhere else. But realistically, if you didn't already play this game, do you care? Like to have a bunch of games that fit that exact description in the third party lineup, I think doesn't feel great. Though that will provide some situations where you can have more direct comparisons about port quality and whatever else, right? So you can look at it and go, well, here's how Cyberpunk runs on this thing. Do you want to play Cyberpunk on a Switch too? I don't want to play Cyberpunk anywhere, so I'm a bad person to ask, but surely someone will want to do that. I don't know, man. Like, we'll see, I guess, on a lot of that stuff. But some of those games, again, like I've been talking about Civ for about a month now, off and on, as a game that would almost certainly feature mouse support of some kind. And you look at that and go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes an absolute ton of sense. Like you look at that and go, yep, they should do that. And playing Civ on the go with proper controls and UI and all the other stuff seems real cool. And the first party stuff, no complaints. Like I would have loved to have seen more. Actually some, if I may say no complaints and then immediately complain for a moment. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Kirby Air Riders. I think that's a neat thing to bring back. That's a good pull. That's a neat thing to have. The Donkey Kong game, I think, looks really fascinating, and the facial animations and stuff there, I think, look outstanding. Mario Kart World, I think, looks weird. And like, again, as someone who is not like a big Mario Kart fan, I think the changes that they're making sound cool. Of like, hey, let's make this more open world kind of racing game. Like, that sounds potentially interesting. I'm not married to the Mario Kart experience the way some people are, but I bet some people would be kind of down on that. Also, the other thing I would say there is a lot of stuff they showed and a lot of stuff they talked about, like, and you can drive to the next event and you can drive to the next race. That is something that Criterion did in that Need for Speed Most Wanted reboot fucking forever ago. And so, it just, you look at that and I think it jives, it kind of dovetails with a lot of the stuff about the camera and the game chat and everything, that I think you look at a lot of these ideas and just go like, guys, people did this a decade plus before you, in games that will not sell as well as Mario Kart World will, right? But at the same time, you kind of just look at it and go like, this isn't like, these aren't the big, like people have been doing this. This is not Nintendo purely innovating and coming up with things that you look at and go like, this is completely different. Like it's a different situation. I think if anything, years of Need for Speed as an open world game and how they've handled competitive play and whatever have kind of shown that people don't necessarily want to do some of that connected world stuff. If anything, I think the open world racer, it seems like people are souring on it these days for the last handful of years here, in a way that I don't necessarily agree with, but I get it. And so like those as like the big new features for the game, I think end up, you have a lot of people saying like, oh, well, they said you can just go play a Grand Prix the way you always did, which shouldn't be how people react to the new features in a game. Is like, well, they said that you can still do it the normal way. So fuck that, like it's not a great starting position, right? But whatever. All of that then adds up to the pricing problem of like, why are they charging this amount of money for it? Like the roads look wider in a way that you look at and go like, I don't know that this is something that makes the game better either. And what is, some of it just feels like Nintendo style innovation, and some of it feels like Nintendo hasn't been keeping up with what has been happening outside of their walls for the last 15 years or 20 years or whatever with some of these ideas. So like, yeah, I don't know. Like, again, the let's turn on a camera and do video chat and voice chat and stuff while we're playing different games and party chat, and it's not like that ship is kind of sailed. Like, people had the ability to do all that stuff. We did it for a while, and then realize like, oh, we don't really want to do this. Or if I'm going to do this, I'm going to, there are a lot of other ways to accomplish this task. I think people that do play games like that have already settled into using Discord or some other stuff like that. The Nintendo Friends List stuff isn't going to get any better. So it's not like you're going to be like, well, I've got to build out my Nintendo Friends List. Like those features don't, those features, I don't think they hold a ton of appeal. I think that, again, it's people have voted on features like that already, and the votes have turned to no's. The votes have turned to like, no, I'm good on that. I don't necessarily want to do that. And as a parent, like parents will have to then worry a lot more about like, oh, like, wait, we're buying a camera for what? Okay, wait, okay. If you want to do video chat with your friends, okay, that's fine. But like, wait a minute here. I don't want you being in random games doing that stuff. So obviously that they dovetailed that into like, hey, and we're updating the parental app to, you know, give you control over who your kids are chatting with and doing like all of that stuff. So I think that makes a ton of sense that they would do that. But also there's so much other technology that do all of this sort of stuff that like Nintendo's stuff just feels like they're rebuilding things that already exist in better forms elsewhere. And so yeah, none of that seems great. Okay, sounds like that maybe the Switch 2 is compatible with other webcams, not just theirs. That's good to hear. That was something I was thinking about. I was like, man, why don't, you know, can't I just plug in whatever? Like, I've got so many webcams at this point. Of course, I think only one of them is USB-C, but hey. Got a shot of the console UI. Looks, yep, sure looks like the Switch console UI. Yeah, and I guess that's it, you know? Do you want to play Elden Ring on a Switch too? A lot of no's in the chat. Exclusively no's in the chat. A couple of kind ofs, a couple of why nots, and now we're getting some yeses. So I guess like that's the thing, you know, like this third party support out of the gate, you know, we're gonna have to kind of clear the decks of some ancient video games. Ancient in the, you know, this Hogwarts game is not new. Elden Ring is not a new game. It's cool that they're doing it. Cyberpunk, not a new game. So yeah, I you know, hey, why not, right? But this is the stuff that you'll probably have to deal with for the first 6 months or so. Is like, hey, you're gonna see some ports of you know, games that if you play games on a variety of platforms, you have already had multiple chances to play this game elsewhere, and you know, it's up to you whether you want to take that chance here. Ubisoft sent out a quick release about Star Wars Outlaws. They've put out a news article. Let's see what that has to say. Not much. Nothing. Nothing. No detail here other than that it is coming to Switch 2 in 2025. And then some, you know, story details about the character. So nothing actually new there. Yeah, not a ton of new news here coming through. So yeah, we're not, you know, doesn't really seem like the floodgates have opened for developers just willy-nilly saying here's the games we're bringing. It really seems like just the games that were featured in this showcase are kind of putting out updates that say, hey, by the way, we were in the showcase. In case you missed it, we were in the showcase. I'm left feeling like there's something about this that feels like unrealized potential still. I think that I'm still big on the mouse stuff and specifically the dual mouse stuff, and I think drag and drive looks interesting from a mechanical standpoint. What is that game going to play like? Because that's something that we haven't done, right? The two mice and then the Joy-Con being a motion controller on top of that so that you can rotate it or you can pick it up to shoot baskets or whatever. Like, that's as just a general input concept, I would be very interested to see more of that type of thing. And what does that mean for a wider variety of games? What do you end up with when and if they get around to a new Splatoon? What does that do there? You know, what kind of options do you have at that point? Or you know, and maybe that's not a dual mouse game. And you know, they showed Fortnite. Will Fortnite have mouse support? I think that's a question, right? Will they have to build in input-based matchmaking into that version of the game to make sure that mouse players are going to not, you know, dominate controller players, or, you know, like, what will they need to do on that front to address that sort of stuff? That's something that these games have been dealing with for a long time, because, you know, you have console games that have mouse support, and so, you know, there's a lot of things there that they'll have to determine on a game-by-game basis. And so, you know, like what will they do there? With Fortnite, will they just go like, oh, we're not going to support the mouse? I mean, they could very easily do that. I don't think there's a mandate from Nintendo that you will support the mouse. So, you know, it's really going to be something that's up to developers as to whether they want to do that or not. But I guess, like, I don't know. I wish that, you know, seeing the picture of the UI and looking at it and saying like, it's just, you know, kind of just the Switch UI again. And like, I think that there's a missed opportunity on Nintendo's part to just have something that is more playful and frivolous, if you will. And I think the Welcome Tour isn't that, especially if they're charging for it. It seems like there should be some kind of system level fun little thing in there, whether that's a Mario Paint or whether that's a, you know, just like a little something. I think the all the hype about the C button ending up being like, oh, you can do voice chat and you can watch other people's gameplay at like a frame a second, is they kind of, I think they did a bad job by trying to build up hype around that button when they put out the video yesterday showing the C button being pressed. It's that's the stuff that, you know, okay, yeah, systems should probably have that stuff. We can't all just expect everyone to rely on Discord or Discord integrations or whatever, even if that's what a lot of people are trying to do. I do think that you do need to have this sort of stuff built into your systems still. But to try to focus on it as if it's like, look at this amazing thing we did. Like, no, this is not, there is nothing like this is the C. The C stands for catch up, because you're kind of halfway catching up to what consoles and other devices like this have been doing for a very long time. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, a lot of that stuff just feels like, as a result, I think some of the system level stuff that they focused on was just kind of underwhelming, you know? And, you know, everyone's, this happens with Nintendo every time. This happens with everyone every time, but in particular Nintendo, right? Everyone's imaginations run away with them and they go like, what if they did this? And what if they did this? And they could integrate Mario Kart or the Mario Paint here. And what if they had a button that if you pushed it, it did this? And what's wonderful thing? And you know, and none of that comes to pass, and you look at it and go like, this is a little plain. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but also, what if they put Street Pass into this thing? What if they, you know, what if they had some fun? What if they put Street Pass in there? What if they had Street Pass? What if instead they had 10 minutes about, hey man, Street Pass is back? You know, and the reality of it is, I assume a lot of the decisions, like, you look at the C button, you look at the chat features and all of that, and you look at them framing it as like, it's like you're all on the same couch. Like, this is a system that was designed during COVID. And so Street Pass is the antithesis of that. And there you have it, right? So like these are features that they would have thought about a very long time ago, and have probably been working on integrating for a good long time. So yeah, I don't think that stuff's super exciting. Like I'm not going to get excited about, hey man, we got better integrated voice chat, because I don't want to do that at this point. I think it's a shame that like the leading headline coming out of this will probably be, dog, they're charging $80 for Mario Kart. I think that's unfortunate. I again, like from a justification perspective, what are you doing? Like, it feels like we just kind of moved to 70. Like the console pricing, I don't really have a huge problem with it. I think this is basically where everyone pegged it. Everyone would have loved to have seen something in the $399 range, obviously, but like I think realistically, everyone has been saying either $449 or $499, and here we are. You get both depending on whether you want Mario Kart. And so the console pricing, zero issues with that. Zero issues. The software pricing is a different story, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I think $70 games was something that they were going to get to eventually, right? They tested it out on the Switch, and now that's probably just that's table stakes. This is how it's going to be. I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting otherwise. But again, I do think that for Mario Kart to be like, hey, this is 80, I think is crazy. And the stories about, hey, these digital prices are going to be cheaper than the physical ones, like in some ways that's something that I think a lot of people have been waiting for a very long time, because that was some of the promise when games were being sold digitally to begin with, was this very idea of like, hey, you don't have to manufacture anything. Why are we still paying full price for this? And the answer was always, well, they have to protect retailers. If they sell for a lower price digitally than they do physically, then retailers are getting screwed. Retailers won't support the platform. And now at this point, I think everyone is ready, or a little more ready, to say, oh, fuck the retailers. We don't care. Whatever. And so now we're seeing this pricing disparity between the two versions of the game. But that's always why those prices were the same, was specifically because they were protecting retailers. Now, of course, they would love to sell these games for as much money as possible. Let's not be dumb here. So I guess, do you look at Mario Kart as assuming that the digital version is $70 here in the States, which I think there's still, some kind of weirdness around that. But that seems like likely to be the case. Will that carry across all of the first party games? And how will all of that work? I mean, obviously a digital version of a game is way less capable than a physical version. It cannot be sold used. You are locked into it. It has objectively less functionality than a physical thing that you can fucking Atom Boys your thing to Shuhei Yoshida and go, here you go. So, like it would make sense that some of this stuff would be cheaper. Of course, if you're looking at it from the other angle of Switch 1 games and so on and so forth, that, then this is a raised price. But this is a raised price to what other people have been charging for games on other platforms. So I can't necessarily get too mad about that. Because again, they're just matching what the industry has already proven is acceptable to consumers. Consumers have already said, sure, we can handle it. 80 is a new barrier. 80 is a weird one. Also, yeah, Nintendo games, first party games don't go on sale very often, right? So I think there is an aspect there of like, hey, you know, at least you can get it a little bit less for, you know, if you get a digital version of the game, because these aren't going to go on sale ever or rarely. Atomic Edge says $80 opens up GTA 6 to be $90, I think. I don't think that this is something that we're going to see the rest of the industry immediately grab onto. Because even Nintendo is not doing it across their entire lineup. I mean, granted, it's 2 games right now, but Donkey Kong is not at this price. So Nintendo is clearly saying not everything is going to be this price. And I don't think that this necessarily leads to people trying to inch things up $10 more on other platforms. I'm assuming that especially with faster storage on the cards, because they need to be faster, that manufacturing costs of Switch cartridges are probably quite a bit higher than they were for Switch 1 games. And Switch 1 games were already more expensive than burning discs. And so I think that there's obviously going to be some costs there that they are taking on, that, you know, that they could use as a justification as to why the physical editions are costing more money, because for the digital versions, it's up to you to go buy a micro SD express card. And so you're bearing that cost for the faster storage. Whereas if you're buying a physical version, it is on them to provide a fast enough medium. Again, I'm not saying that that's all hunky-dory and that's all great. I am saying that is probably the reality of the situation, combined with, you know, what their pitch would be for it, and say like, hey, yeah, this is how this is going to be now. Micro SD express cards are more expensive than regular micro SD cards for sure. Especially in larger sizes, that gets crazy fast. But you know, again, for faster storage, like the faster storage requirement has been something that now every platform on the market is doing, with the exception of the PC. Though a lot of PC games will still throw messages up at you. Like I have, so on my PC that's hooked up to this television behind me, I have 2 SSDs in it, but the second SSD is just SATA. It's just plugged in, so it's significantly faster, but it's not full on NVMe. It's not a crazy, you know, it's not the fastest of the fastest SSD in the world. But still, because it's connected via SATA, every game that I launch on that machine these days, and by every I mean Assassin's Creed Shadows and Call of Duty, throws up an error message saying, "Hey, you have this installed to a mechanical hard drive. You shouldn't. You should put it on an SSD." And then you hit OK and say to yourself, "It is on an SSD, you fuckface," and everything is fine. But yeah, you know, like PC games are more and more asking about your storage speed and asking all that stuff as well. Obviously, the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 are demanding that speed. And now here we are, the Switch 2 is doing the same. So joining that, the Switch 2 joining that fight and having more expensive cards. Rad Jago says 256 gig SD Express cards are about $60 right now. So that's, I don't know, that is more expensive than a regular ass plenty fast micro SD card for sure, but it's not completely out of control. Of course, I'm sure if you want to find a 1 terabyte SD Express card, you can. They will happily take your money, at a dramatically increased rate. Yeah, because you can get a 1 terabyte regular SD is like, you know, you can get those for $50, $60 these days. $80. I don't like it. I think that they should have just kind of sucked it up on this one and not done that. But in the end, people will buy it. Like the sad fact of it is, like, we can sit here and complain about it, and I think it's a very reasonable and realistic and good complaint. And I think you look at this and go like, yeah, dude, this sucks. But I do think that, between the game being bundled in, the game's bundled in for 50, so that'll be the way people forget about this, and maybe they never sell an $80 game ever again, or at least for a while, right? Again, the only other thing we have to look at right now is Donkey Kong, which is not $80. And so how do we do this? How does it go from here? How does the pricing shake out from here? I don't think that we see a ton of other $80 games, but maybe for the big marquee titles that they're not taking a chance on, because there's something a little chancy about a new Donkey Kong. Hasn't been one in a while. They gotta like sweeten the pot ever so slightly, because it's not a sequel to the best-selling game that they make, that they know you will buy at any price. But this is something where I would love to see a situation where they say, hey, also Mario Kart is going to have seasonal updates that will be free. Something that says, hey, this is why this game is $80. Something that says, that attempts even to justify the price. And I'm not seeing that. So right now you look at it and go, this straight up sucks. And presumably by the time they get to updates to Mario Kart World, they will probably not be free, right? Maybe they'll be free with the expansion pass. That's been something that they've sort of done in the past, but again, they don't really need to. All right, a 1 terabyte SDXC card, $200 from Lexar on Amazon. That's expensive. I bought the biggest memory stick they would sell me for the PSP. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. This reminds me of that, except I cannot encode 3GP files to play on a Switch 2, which is the main reason why I bought the biggest memory stick I could, is because I thought it would be really funny to have an abundance of pornography on a PSP. It was funny briefly, and then I was like, this is okay. This is whatever. Forget it. I don't need this anymore. Yeah, man, this is something that could have felt like a little more slam dunkish, and instead I feel like every single detail released after the event has been like, oh, it has not felt good right now with some of this pricing stuff and some of these additional details. I think everyone is kind of got a little bit of sticker shock. At the end of the day, I don't think that any one of the things here is like a big deal. Like I said, I think the game key card thing, there are a handful of people that are freaking out about that. And so the thing I would say is, again, that has been standard industry practice for a lot of big games for a very long time now. And so ultimately it's a good thing that they're calling it out, but it's a thing that has to be explained that way. And there's a number of and as an individual thing, who cares? But then you've got by the way, this is $80. And then you've got, by the way, this is this. And here's the list of games that don't work right now. And here's the list of this. And it's an LCD screen, and there's a region locked one in Japan, and the pricing is all over the place. And I like, there's just aspects of this that just, combined with an abundance of relatively dated third-party games as part of the presentation, doesn't feel like if anything, I would have shortened that video up a little bit and said, hey, we're gonna do a separate thing to focus on Hitman. And I like Hitman. Hitman's a fantastic game, one of the greatest games of the last, I don't know, decade. How old is Hitman now? You could tell me Hitman was 15 years old. I'd be like, yeah, this sounds about right. But like of the last like 5 or 10 years, Hitman has been incredible. I think the way that they rolled it out, the way they updated it has been tremendous. It's almost I was thinking it was more like 5, but it was 2016. So I guess it literally is almost 10 years. So hell yeah, having a 9-year-old game as part of your console reveal event, even for as amazing as Hitman has been and how long the support window for that game has been, I do think that like putting it in to your, here's our brand new platform, here's the future of video games, it's not a good feeling. It's a game that absolutely should exist on the platform. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it or whatever, right? But it's hard to like it's one of those things that I think ends up kind of dampening the overall feeling of the whole thing, because you look at that, you look at Hogwarts, you look at just some of the other games that are showing up here. Elden Ring I would even sort of put in this category, but Elden Ring is probably right on the cusp because it was of how big it was combined with yeah, okay, yeah, Elden Ring, sure, you should do that. Yakuza 0 is at least getting some kind of director's cut sort of thing to it, so it is some sort of update. I mean, to be fair, Hitman is getting, Mario themed suits. I would like to play Hitman as Luigi. Anyway, I think that there's this stuff all looks good. Some of it sounds bad. Some of it is awkward. Some of it is fucked up in ways that you just go like, this pricing is wrong. This is weird. Like there's a lot of strange nuance to a lot of this stuff that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel good the way you think it should have felt. But I think that it's a good list of games, and I think that, as a continuation of the Switch line, and, you see stuff like Deltarune and Hades 2, you see smaller games as a part of this presentation. Clearly, they're going to, continue to support indie devs, and as a more powerful platform for indie devs to release games on, I think that makes a ton of sense and is cool. So, it'll bare minimum, this continues as a device that you can use to play first party Nintendo games and a bunch of great smaller, indie games. And, the bigger games will run well for a while, and we'll kind of see how that shakes out over the years. But out of the gate, we'll kind of see how this all goes. Yeah, I just, I think for me, a lot of it comes down to, I think that their big focus on like voice chat and video chat just feels out of touch in a way that you look at it and go like, oh, right, it's Nintendo. Of course they're going to do something that you look at and go like, what? Okay, I guess. So yeah, there you have it. That is the Nintendo Switch 2. Duskblood's coming exclusively to Switch 2, which, that's big news. Like let's not undersell that. There will be people who are very excited about a Hyrule Warriors game. I am not one of them. I will never be one of them. But it's cool that they're making it. And yes, Duskblood is an 8-player game. Yeah. They did say in the initial press release that it was a multiplayer game, but yeah, as Bryn says here, it is a PvPvE 8-player game. So is it an extraction sworder extraction cutter? Ugh. yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that one, I guess. Huh. That's how I'm left with this. Huh. All right. I think there's stuff about the hardware that has a ton of potential. And like I said, I think that there's just some unrealized stuff about it. Say what you will about 1-2 Switch. It was something in the early days of the Switch that you could look at and go like, oh, okay, look at this, huh? In terms of like showing you things a console could do. And it wasn't really meant to be much more than that. So yeah, it was what it was. And I'm hesitant to say this presentation needed a 1-2 Switch, but at the same time, there was a playfulness to that thing. It should have been, yeah, it should have been a pack-in the same way this Welcome Tour thing should probably be a pack-in. But yeah, it's huh. I'm going to get going. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Well, about an hour, actually. I wonder what this means for some of the late era Switch 1 games that they didn't talk about. Like, they're, you know, obviously, like Rhythm Heaven is still coming, Tomodachi Life is still coming. Like, will those games end up with Nintendo Switch 2 editions, or will those games just be released for both, or will they not be? Will they look at it and go like, actually, Rhythm Heaven doesn't need any sort of update. It will just run on both and you'll be fine. But yeah. Huh. Switch 2. It's in a lot of ways is exactly what you thought it was going to be. And I think in some other ways, like this, it's not coming off the way that it should have. I think a lot of it is the Mario Kart pricing. I think that's casting a really dark cloud over this that I wish I could kind of just like push away a little bit and be a little more focused on some of the other stuff that they had to say. But that's a really dominant talking point that I think is going to stick with them in ways that they would prefer it didn't, I'm sure. Ultimately, none of this, you know, hey, people still will pre-order the system. People, you know, this isn't something that's going to prevent initial allotments from selling out. I think early adopters are nothing if not soft as fuck when it comes to all of this shit, right? Especially in a situation where they're offering the game as a bundle for not $80. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like that all of this adds up to something that doesn't feel the way it should. And I think that there's probably a better way they could have presented even this same information. There's probably a better way that they could have done this in a way that I think would make people feel a little bit better or something. But man, this yeah, it's a weird. This all came off kind of weird, I guess, is what I would say. I don't think that they did a great job of showing off the console. Obviously, the stream having issues on top of that probably didn't help. But you know, I don't want specs. I know Nintendo doesn't need to focus on specs or whatever. But I think I would have liked to have just seen something more that said, here's what the Switch 2 can do that the Switch 1 does not. And 120 frames per second is definitely a thing. 4K is definitely a thing. But what games will hit those marks? Like, I don't know that we'll see a huge list hitting that, right? But before and afters, some kind of like, hey, here's what Zelda looks like, and you know, they'll have more stuff over the next couple of days here that'll show more gameplay. They're doing the Treehouse streams and such, so there's obviously more. But just a smidgen more talk about, hey, this is stuff. This is Mario Kart World has things in it that we could not have done on the Switch 1. And I think you look at the footage and you see it and go like, yeah, you know, the draw distance combined with the, you know, like, and if this was running at a higher resolution, but I think the thing they're running into is Nintendo's style of game making and their style of art has looked good for a while. And Mario's nose is round now. It has been for some time. And so what are we doing what are we doing visually that's new? You know, what are we doing, you know, and I think something like a little bit more of a showcase. You don't go full Digital Foundry on it. That's you don't need to. But yeah, like just a little something more, and you know, hopefully that's something that they'll have over the course of this week as they spend a little bit more time digging into the system a little bit. Like it'd be nice to see just something that helps kind of justify this stuff. And we'll see where they go from here. But I'm left a little I don't know. I'm left a little kind of not down on it per se, but there's just like I look at it and go like, yeah, I don't know. Like this isn't blowing up. Like this is, you look at it and go like, yes, I guess this is what you should do. I don't like the notion that like putting GameCube games on the Switch 2 is, you know, it'd be nice to see a full, like they should make a new F-Zero, you know, but instead they will put F-Zero GX out on it, and that'll probably be that, right? At the end of the day, it's still Nintendo. Nintendo refused to change. That's a good and a bad. That cuts both ways, right? But yeah. Huh. Well, obviously we'll have more information in the days ahead. And I'll be back in, like I said, like an hour. I just need to run out real quick to the store, and so it might even be less than an hour, but I'm gonna just I'm gonna throw some shoes on and run out real quick, and then I will come back and we'll play some video games. Have you heard of those? They still make them. So we'll come back. We'll do a little bit of that. So yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to bid you adieu. And I'll see you soon.